Hey, what's up guys? So here we are back again for some more Python BACnet Stacks Playground. Just a crash course for Python-based BACnet applications using BAC0 and BAC pipes. And once again, this is mostly for just simple applications that HVAC controls would be used to, or IoT practitioners. But it is not an advanced networking course, nor are we getting into low-level bits and bytes on the wire, an advanced network programming course. We're just looking at BACnet from a high level in the Python world, using BAC0 and BAC pipes, and which handles all of the BACnet data types automatically. So we're just using Python-based data types, which makes it really easy and beginner-friendly to understand. So in our AI-generated coursework, we're up on this checkpoint 2 of a BAC0 app that will do a readMultiple request to collect data, present value. We'll save it to a CSV file and then vibe code up something to rotate the CSV file once per day if the app was running long term. So let's get into it. And then we're also on here in our theory. So we're also studying some basic computer science theory, where we're up to, I think we're on day 9. We did enumerate function yesterday, and then we're just getting into some more computer science theory, which I think is kind of important if someone is just starting out. Perhaps you're a controls technician and you know BACnet, you know how BACnet works. But you don't know a coding language, how to use a network stack to do BACnet reads and writes. So we're kind of studying some real basic applied, just a real basic applied computer science theory. I'm also looking at this down here. It says like our lesson plan is reading and writing to files. So maybe we'll get into that in the coursework, but we'll be vibe coding it a little bit early. But that should be fine. Okay, so day 9, here's day 9. And then here's our session from ChatGPT from the day before. So let's just try running this again. Python, BACnet vibe code app 2, and you can just tab a complete. So in the terminal, you just type in Python and then the name of the file with the .py extension, and then you just tab it over. Wonder what that's doing. Must be some kind of a firewall thing. Never seen that pop up before. You can see like all of the different, this is getting, so BAC0 uses BAC pipes under the hood. And there's tons of, to make a network stack, especially BACnet, there's thousands and thousands of lines of code running in the BAC pipes library. So it gets really complicated once you're drilling into the bytes on the wire level and all of these different services aired out. And BAC0, like we talked about, is just a wrapper library around BAC pipes to make things really easy. So it's kind of cool to use. It even has a default BACnet instance ID. So this is the BACnet virtual address that BAC0 uses, which you can code yourself too. Why is this erroring out? List index out of range. I don't think we changed this from yesterday. So why is this going to error out now? Interesting. What is this? This application, set device cache. I am. Let's just see if our BACnet scanner works. A little bit of troubleshooting. Wasn't expecting to run into this. So this is our Windows-based BACnet scanner, which we've used quite a bit before too. And it looks like it's erroring out on this. So okay, well our BACnet scanner working, so it's something to do with our script here. I don't know what it's doing. I don't think we ran into this yesterday. So let's, who is response 0? No broadcast. Alright. Maybe ChatGPT can help us. What is going on here? Sometimes AI can be helpful, and then sometimes it's not. I personally haven't ran across this before. It almost looks like an async IO thing. I don't know. No broadcast error. Look at this line, 10.10, broadcast. I wonder if I have, actually I know the issue. I had a VPN open from a different building automation network, and maybe that was our problem. So sometimes I've noticed that this one particular VPN that I connect to service the building in my building automation optimization job can error things out. So, okay, yes, it was that. All right, so then we can probably ask ChatGPT to clean it up. So I don't know why a VPN would cause that issue. Some kind of routing thing in the VPN. Weird. That could be really difficult and not fun to troubleshoot. Okay, so I'm just going to tell, actually it is fixed. It was a VPN connection I had open to a client site. Nevertheless, please move on. How to modify the script so that it scrapes all the points off of the device with 1 RPM. I can read multiple requests. So if we were to open up our scanner tool again, let's get back into this. Just reference the older videos on how to set this up, if how to download it. So let's see, our script is using, so this is the target IP address for one of the Raspberry Pis, which is .12 right there. So I'm going to ask ChatGPT how to mod the script to scrape everything on 1 RPM of present value request for, I'm just going to be really lazy and screenshot this. I'm kind of trying to get away from screenshotting into the AI prompts, mostly if it's one that is, I have to pay attention to how many tokens I'm using, which probably don't have to do with this if you're only doing it once or twice, but like I think images are just lots of tokens, so the LLMs are all token based, like a word. Think of a word as pretty much a token. And you get build, and there's they have context, so the LLM has a token limit, so you can only chat with it so much before it loses its brains and it can't remember what you were talking about. So this little picture here contains, even though it's not much text, probably like zillions of tokens compared to like just plain text. So I'm trying to get away from, because I used to do lots of screenshots into ChatGPT, but for this piddly little process, I don't think it'll matter. And then also it says something here that the RPM request needs to be chunked. That's one thing that I've ran across recently is backpipes. If there's a really big BACnet device, like has thousands of BACnet points like it can if there's like a gateway or something like that. I've seen a BACnet gateway have 2,000 to 4,000 points, is you have to chunk the points. I think you can do like 20 points at a time, something like that. There's a way to chunk it in like a optimized fashion. So let's see how ChatGPT will do this. I'm also kind of sorry that these videos have turned out a lot longer than 20 minutes. They're being double the amount of time that it takes to create this video content. So, all right, let's see what it's doing. So, build 1 RPM to that asks for present value only. So, all right, maybe it'll ask everything. The script looks kind of nasty. So it's actually wanting to do under the hood an object list. So this is like how we were doing device IP, the instance, and then you can also, instead of present value, description, or units, you can ask for the entire object list for the device, which I think this will do. It's like a point discovery. Maybe just see if this works. Alrighty, yep. Okay, so this is like another thing we aired out, like we demonstrated a few times already, is I cannot have my BACnet scanner tool open and Python BACnet stacks at the same time. You can only run one BACnet application on the operating system, just by the nature of BACnet that it is inbound based protocol, like inbound based UDP based protocol. So that's why the operating system tells you that only one BACnet application on the computer can listen to this socket UDP port 47808, which is default for BACnet. And it's different from outbound TCP protocols like HTTP requests or MQTT, where you could have dozens or hundreds of outbound request-based protocols running at the same time, but BACnet is unique and we can only do one. You could probably do a really complicated way of having multiple BACnet devices on one device, but I'm not gonna do that here because that gets really complicated. I think you could do that with a some kind of a BBMD, a BACnet broadcast management device. So let's just see what it comes up with. Maybe this video we could just see if we can get just like one little notch further on our vibe coding checkpoints every day. And it's going slow. I didn't really look at the error code very closely, but I saw something that it's looking for it's missing some argument. So when you read property, it's looking for some kind of a dictionary, some kind of further data that you pass into it, something that BAC0 requires. And remember, we were downloading BAC0, so maybe I'll just do that just in case. So who knows if this is bad practice, but it's been working for me, so I don't care. But you can download the source code of a library and then just upload the entire source code right to the LLM, and it can help it diagnose things. So if we're trying to create a script and we're not passing in data or running the script the way that the BAC0 library expects, we can just upload the source code. I took away our whois range, which I don't like. Did that do that here? Yeah, did I here? So I'm gonna keep that as a note. I think like this is super useful. Like what we were talking about before is that don't do a whois on a live BACnet site like every, people only do that during the setup of a building automation or IT or a IoT platform, because this is a global broadcast. So it's okay to do it like while you're setting up a platform, but it's something that it's only a tool, and like there's not necessary to do whois on when we're polling for data and we're just scraping. If you're doing some kind of a security app, cybersecurity or something, who knows, you really shouldn't do that. Maybe once an hour, a couple times a day, all you need, because it can really congest networks, especially really old ones. So let's just see what it does here. And if it still errors out, then we can wow, this is pretty cool. So this worked. It looked like it worked. So it definitely requested everything. So let's see what we got here. So there's a lot going on. What did AI do for us? So I'm gonna put our little range back in. So like our whois right here. So if you want to adjust maybe only a certain range of the instance IDs, which is the same exact thing if you're on your BACnet scan tool and you're doing this right here, your instance ID range, which is your BACnet virtual address, that was this right here, a timeout. So all those devices will respond as I am, which we talked about in the last video, and they did. Interesting, only one device responded. Well, maybe that's all that we. Maybe we're not even printing this. So it's actually doing a whois, and then it's responding. So this is kind of cool. So it's actually reading BACnet object list, which will give us the entire. It's like doing a point discovery in a device. So when on our BACnet scan tool, when I get back into it and go down into here, then I could even mimic what we're doing here. How this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 800. 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, 800. Hit search. So that's our whois right here. And then all of our devices are going to do the I am. So what's happening is we have to parse all the I am information, which this tool just did right now, and we're kind of doing that here. And then if we get into our .12, so this did some kind of an object list discovery right here. So we discovered all of our points in our device, and then our BACnet readMultiple will attempt to read all of these points with one request. So whoosh, one request. So we got our object list here. code just looks kind of nasty. So what it did, what's kind of funny is that it so this is our RPM request. I'm just going to print RPM just request so we can see what it looks like. There's just so many comments here that sometimes I think AI gets kind of nasty. This is just a note that it's camel case right here. If you see this analog input with the input is capitalized, and I think some of the newer features they're trying to do is more everything lowercase with a dash in between, where I know Backpipes 3 will accept either or, which I'm surprised if, I would think BAC0 describes it, skip if the device object, skip the device object. Okay, so that's just a point. We might just get rid of that. Alright, so what it's doing some, so we'll get into this I think in our theory. So we'll parse strings. We could probably just clean this all up. So this is another data structure we'll get into. The last theories we've just been doing a list data structure, that is the square brackets, but we'll get into a dictionary. That's a dictionary, a curly brackets data structure. Maybe we'll keep that one. So this is doing a who is, and then it's actually seeing if the source address equals the device our target device IP address. But I think we'll delete that and just say print device IP addresses. And I'll just say, because this will just be a single device. I'm just going to get rid of that. Get rid of that. Who cares? So I think if we're troubleshooting this, we would want to see all devices popping up in our discovery, just like our tool. And then if it can't find the device, it'll error out. So looks like I might have deleted a few too many lines of code. So let's just go back in here. I think it was pulling out the instance. It's doing something in here. Alright, so I guess that is kind of cool, getting the instance. I'm just going to get rid of this device source IP address thing. I'm just going to print this, print dev. I have to see what this looks like. Do another request. Error. Okay, so we could do I'm just gonna pull this information out. So it looks like device instance number, so it pulls it out of the data. This is kind of getting into backpipes behind the scenes. So this is where our device instance is defined, and then it's pulling out of all of this information from the network request. And then somehow it is erroring out. Let's see if I can even simplify this further. Alright, so I got a couple more errors here, so at least we're getting this working. So this is all of our devices are popping up. So we could do, even put this in one string. We were working with f strings before. So I'm just going to put this all in one string. And we just have to put this above here. This is just a way of pulling data out of the request information. So device IP address is the source right here, which will print. It's to say instance ID should be this one. Clean it up a little bit for the print. And then we're erroring out here. Invalid literal object identifier. I wonder where this is. I don't like this. This is just kind of nasty. Way that it's putting this together. So I'm just going to ask, don't redo, just code, snip the problem. This is actually, that's our device instance. Too much deleting. Oop, it didn't like that either. Okay, so it's erroring out on the object request list. Why device instance? Then you never assigned it, so device. All right, so maybe we could just have ChatGPT to minimal fix devices, blah 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 blah. All right, so I'm just gonna say we already know our instance ID is what was our instance ID? So like what the script is doing is it's trying to pull the instance ID from the device, which I don't think we need. So I'm just gonna go back to our scanner. Well, might have it here too. So like .12, okay, so this is our instance ID. Guess I don't need our scanner. So I'm just gonna get rid of this because I just want this for demo. For demo purposes. Object list, I guess, is kind of cool. So I'm just going to ask ChatGPT to clean this up. I already know my device instance ID. Keep it simple. So like the who is, that's just something for, just for demo purposes. But maybe we should actually just keep that on the vibe code app one. Maybe we'll just move this over because we may not want, if people are playing around with actually making scripts that'll be polling a real building automation system on an interval, we don't want to be doing lots of who is commands like we talked before, so maybe I'll just take that out of there. And then if we know our target device IP address and instance ID, we don't even need to do that. And then we can ask it to clean up that because that looks kind of garbagey too, I think. Gosh, does it just put some garbage in there? So I'm gonna say too complex. Go off of this, please. Sorry, this video is already getting a little bit longer, but I guess it's the joy of vibe coding. So I just want to keep it simple because I know like these BACnet scripts don't need to be really complicated looking in this. Sometimes using AI, it can make scripts way more complex than they need to be. So this looks a little better. All right, let's check this out, guys. Looks a little cleaner. So I'm just gonna ask it now to, what I think we should do is hard code analog. Let's just do this. On BACnet scan tool. This is kind of like what I think we should be doing. So I know we'd actually printed some of this object list stuff, but this is what I kind of imagine doing. Where is our object list? Anyways. Maybe we should just do this. So I'm just going to look on a different monitor what this looks like. Which is something I think we could do. It's like we could even just say zone temp equals analog input 1. And we have to make this a string. And I'm just going to say VAV flow equals analog input 2. And then we could say zone cool set point equals analog value 1. So we'll copy that. Analog value 1. There's a point called zone demand, that is analog input 2. So I'm just going to say zone demand. Also, like when we do constants, these are just hard-coded constants that'll never change. People usually capitalize them, and I've seen that in other coding languages too. And then VAV flow set point. So I'm just going to say VAV flow set point equals value 3, and then we also have a VAV damper command. VAV damper command. We'll just say that is analog output 1. Okay, so I'm gonna ask ChatGPT to just get rid of this, and then just hard code what the RPM should look like. Close you out. Just hard code this, please. I also removed the who is, and please just lay out the hard coded format for whatever BAC0 requires for a RPM. Let me actually just jump back here on our vibe code app 1 and just put a note here. Remember with a hashtag, so only for demo purposes, don't execute a whois in production scraping. Only conduct whois less than a once in hour duration interval. It is a global request and can congest networks. Okay, so hopefully that, I suppose if we wanted to get fancy in our strings, I could make this a better looking string. Whoops, I'm sorry. Come on, you. Clean up our strings a little bit here so it looks a little more professional. Okay, so maybe we should test this too. Python vibe code, or it's BACnet vibe code app 1. So let's just make sure it works good, because we did add in this. Alright, so that's good. And then here's, see if ChatGPT is all done. Alright, let's see, this should be our BACnet RPM request. Let's see if this guy works. Vibe code app 2. Ooh, and it worked. Okay, cool. So this is like the data structure that BAC0 requests, that requires. So it's actually the curly brackets, which is a dictionary, and then there's a dictionary inside of a dictionary called a nested dictionary, I think. And what I wanted to do is just see if we could do this, because I'm pretty sure the underlying backpipes library doesn't care if it's camel case or this lowercase with a hyphen, and I kind of think they're kind of moving away from camel case. Anyways, so maybe we'll just get it all proper. More modern backpipes 3 way of doing things. All right, so there we go. So then I think as we vibe code our app, we'll just kind of do things this way. It looks like they have a colon in there, but I'm pretty sure I'm gonna try that, see if it works. Because I know backpipes does a comma. It looks like it does either. I kind of am used to the comma from what my backpipes apps that I've been using, so, and it looks like it doesn't care. So I'm just gonna go off of what we'll be doing down the road in backpipes. So pretty cool. And then, and like you can, yeah, I think we should just keep it here, because in vibe code app 1, I think we demonstrated that you could, well, maybe we shouldn't do that. But remember that you could use description, you can pass in description, object list, units, but present value is pretty much what people are mostly interested in, especially in data and scraping data for IoT. Present value is pretty much everything you'll be using. So like if you were doing something like this in the real world, I would do just hard code everything. And I think it just makes it a lot simpler. So this is only 40 lines of code with a hard-coded address right here, so that's the right thing to do. And then it's actually with using the readMultiple request, instead of individual requesting each one of these things. This should be individual requests on the network, but this is just one big snapshot, whoosh, you know, all that data in just one request, which is more efficient in the way that, especially if it's a big BACnet network, you know, we want to be as efficient as possible. So here we are. So this looks good to me, and I think we're definitely going to stop the video here. And then as we continue onto our vibe code checkpoints, do some of our theory coursework as well. So hope you guys are enjoying this. I'll start pushing some of this code up to the GitHub repo, and yeah, we'll look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Have a good afternoon.